G'day, my name's Sam Stanford and I'm currently studying a Bachelor of Music with the University of New England. So I'm 26 years old and I currently teach piano, guitar and vocals through my own business, Kick and Keys. I work at my own studio here in my home as well as at two primary schools here in my hometown of Coffs Harbour. Working with the primary schools is pretty great, gives me lots of opportunities to work with kids on all sorts of stuff like choirs, school projects like musicals and all that kind of stuff, which is very fun. And I currently have 56 instrumental students who are either going for exams with their piano or just learning for fun, or learning group guitar songs and writing songs and that kind of stuff, which is really awesome as well. I grew up in a very musical family. We always have very fun sing-along Christmases, which is great. And I studied music through the AMEB all during my schooling life until the end of year 12. I then left school, obviously, and I worked for a group which did youth work in various schools around Australia. And I was the music coordinator on my team both years. So first year I was based in Cairns and I worked in the school on lots of projects, whether it was for their school masses or whether it was for their musicals or just helping kids with their performances in their own year 12 HSC as well. And then in Melbourne I coordinated a fair few musical things for the cathedral. They have a thing every Thursday night which I ran the music for, or I'd perform at various functions around the Melbourne Archdiocese as well. After that, I didn't do a lot to do with my musical studies until I eventually moved back to Coffs Harbour and decided I wanted to teach. So then I went through the Australian Guild of Music Education and I finished my grade 7 piano through them and my grade 4, 5 and 6 theory through them as well in order to get them to register me to teach. I then started a degree through them and then changed as I wanted to focus more on music composition and their options weren't as open as the University of New England. Since leaving school as well, I've done many performances including weddings and musicals, various functions and festivals around the place. One of the highlights would have been performing at the Mardi Gras Fair Day in Sydney in 2015. I performed there. Which is always good. I don't like performing as much as I do composing, but I am quite the extrovert. So once I'm on stage, I'm normally fine, but it's the build-up to a performance that always makes me very nervous. My artistic goals at the moment are I would like to get more into composing, especially in the video game industry. I'm a pretty big nerd and I've played video games for most of my life. I still remember getting my first Game Boy and Pokemon when I was 7 years old. And I remember I still know all the songs. You could ask me to sing any song and I'd be able to sing you the Pokemon Center theme song or various gyms or whatever. And I could play a bunch of them on the piano as well. And I guess that's part of the reason that inspired me to go down the composition route. Music has always inspired me in the way that it can evoke emotions in a person. So whenever people ask me what my favorite music is, I always just say whatever makes me feel something. And I guess the benefit of working in the composition industry, especially in film, media, video games, is that your job is to make people feel something. Your job is to evoke the emotion of a particular scene in a listener, because as you probably know, it's all very multidimensional. It's not only what's on the screen, but it's what you hear that helps you emote with the characters that you're either playing or viewing on the screen. So that's probably my biggest artistic goal, is to break into the video game composition industry. The audience for that kind of industry ranges a lot nowadays. Predominantly it's between the ages of 12 and 30. Mostly men as well, mostly males. But as time goes by, that age gap is growing. Not only as people who play video games get older, but also as people exposed to video games gets younger and younger with mobile apps and all sorts of online places that use educational games at school, all sorts of stuff that needs music. But as well as that, boundaries are broken down. More women are playing video games now than ever. There's no real subculture or sub-denomination of people who play video games anymore. It's not considered a taboo. It's not considered uncool to play video games, unless you're playing them as much as me, I'm sure. But yeah, so I suppose the ideal audience is just whoever's playing the video game. I don't really have a preferred genre either. So I guess I would be, composing for any style. It could be from any period. It could be sci-fi. It could be fantasy. It could be set in the 1980s. It could be set somewhere in the distant future. So finding that style and finding a way to compose in that emotion is something that would be quite exciting for me as well. Collaborations are really important as well in the video game industry, as no one person could possibly develop a video game or even a film or a television show by themselves. The amount of skills required is just too varied. So collaboration, I suppose, is probably fundamental to any of the media industries. So I guess one of the things that I'm looking forward to is using my communication skills, my teamwork skills, and my hopefully overall friendly personality to work well with people and rely on each other's strengths. I'm not very good with programming or graphic design, unfortunately. My sister got all the artistry in my family, so I would definitely need other people to help with a video game. I'm more than happy to help out with music, but maybe ask my opinion on how something looks, but don't ask me to draw something. In today's world, actually, there's a lot of great collaboration websites that you can go to for indie projects, where you can start your own and apply for people or ask people to help you out, or you can apply to work on other people's little indie projects, which are really good. There's 3 really great websites that I use quite frequently, which really make the world seem a lot smaller, and I think that's one of the benefits of the internet is it makes the world seem a lot smaller. I recently was helping someone with some sound engineering stuff. They just wanted a second opinion, really, and I helped them figure out, how to, I suppose, add more of an ethereal sense to some otherwise steampunky sounds, so lots of pipes banging, lots of metal clanging, that kind of stuff. They were pretty good. I mostly just gave them a thumbs up, but the fact that I helped someone who's they were based in Spain, so helping someone do that from my own house is pretty amazing. Platforms that I plan to use to start my career in composing would definitely be those online collaboration websites. It's an easy way to build up networking, to practice teamwork skills, to practice time management, and there's definitely a lot of skills involved there, but it's a bit easier, I suppose, because you don't have the deadline of an employer. You don't have someone breathing over your neck, so it's a nice, relaxed environment to get into it. And then, obviously, to get anywhere really nowadays in any kind of industry, you need networking skills. So social media and that kind of stuff are going to be very important as well. Building up a Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, that kind of thing. My short-term objectives over the next 1, 3, and 5 years. Over the next year, I just plan to finish my Bachelor of Music and begin to focus a bit more on my career. In the next 3 years, I hope to have a few more collaborations under my belt, which I can then use to build my skills and build my network a bit. And hopefully within the next 5 years, I'd like to have completed a major project with one of the bigger gaming industry producers in Australia, which are largely based in Melbourne, so I may have to move there at some stage. Other than that, prospective projects that I'm working on at the moment, I'm working on a visual novel with some people, which is kind of like a storybook, choose your own adventure on a computer, which is pretty cool. And I'm also working on a potential musical with a local theatre company who wants to write their own musical. So those kind of things are very up in the air and they require a lot of planning, but assuming they both go ahead, then I suppose my job's going to be tedious, but it's exciting at the same time, being able to help out with those emotive sides of the music and that kind of stuff that I'm really interested in doing. A musical is going to be a bit new for me. I've never tried to write one before. But I do love a good musical. Recently saw The Book of Mormon. Couldn't possibly hope to live up to that standard, of course, but nothing wrong with aiming for the moon. So other than that, this is my presentation about professional practice of music and my professional portfolio and my plans for the future. Thanks for listening.